Yes, today on AfterBuzz TV, we are going to be running an after show for an after show because Fox just released a brand new after show starring Fred Savage. Both the show and my reaction to the show have the exact same name, and that name is What Just Happened?
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to TV Pilot Reviews here on AfterBuzz TV. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we're covering Fred Savage's brand new Fox show, What Just Happened. And Tara, I think both of us are feeling a little bit that way.
Oh, yeah.
What just happened?
Confusion.
Confusion.
Yeah.
The confused voice you're hearing is my esteemed colleague and brilliant co-host, Tara Erickson. Tara, it's really great to see you today.
Yeah, you too. I mean, just such a refreshing face and vibe to get away from what I had to watch earlier today.
Ooh, the shade is real.
Rough.
If you guys watch live, you can see that I'm pulling up the live chat on my phone right now. So I'm not being rude.
Me
Even
too.
though I look very millennial, I'm just finding the live chat. If any of you guys are tuned in live, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this Banana Pants show. That's right, guys. This show is called What Just Happened. We're going to talk about it in just a minute, but let me tell you a bit about our show first. This is TV Pilot Reviews, and if this is your first time tuning in, this is the show where we review Hollywood's hottest new pilots. This isn't technically an after show because we're just going to be reviewing the pilots.
Right.
So we bring you a new pilot every week and let you know what we thought of that. Because What Just Happened released on Sunday, and it is a parody of after shows, we had to cover it here at the After Shows Network, which is AfterBuzz TV. Okay, just so you guys know, the longer this show goes on, the more spoiler intensive we're going to get. So listen at your own risk. I don't think there's too many things we can spoil for this show. But we will have a spoiler-free section and a spoiler-filled section. So we will make clear to you when that moment is going to be. Right now, we don't have anyone tuning on the live chat, but you're hearing the show itself. That's the fun of live TV. If you guys hop in there, we are going to let you know what we think, as you will do the same for us, which we appreciate. Tara.
Yeah.
What were your overall thoughts on Fox's brand new after show?
Oh boy. I just was like, this is a dream and a nightmare. I'm confused. Is it a real book? Are those actors just playing a character? Or is that Rob Lowe actually speaking as himself but making jokes on the side because that's what the writers told him to, because this is a weird after show?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know either. I should have made a little more clear what the show is if you guys know nothing going in. This is Fred Savage hosting an after show a la The Talking Dead or Talking Thrones or anything that we're running here on this network for a show/fictional universe that doesn't exist. So on this, quote, live after show, that's all been pre-taped, he's covering a series called The Flare, which is based off of a famous book series. I kind of got the impression it was sort of in the same way that Walking Dead is a post-apocalyptic sci-fi saga.
Yeah, like drama, like the way that they open up the top with that footage.
So they do show us a clip right off the top of the show The Flare. It's all very, on one page, kind of interesting that this is even happening on network television. On the other page, this was just such a mess in execution, I think. For me, I was in when I heard the idea. I like sort of inside baseball meta-style television. As someone who produces after shows, I was excited to see what kind of satirical angle Fox would be taking on the after show format and sort of the after show phenomenon, the culture that we live in. But there wasn't really a point of view. I felt like all this was just sort of an endearing approach to after show culture for something that doesn't exist. I have no idea why you would watch this.
Me neither. I watch it for Fred because I adore him and love him, and I'm just like, love him. But sadly, a lot of what was going on here was not like earned. There was a lot of moments that I was like, that's supposed to be a comedic punchline. It's not working because it's not earned.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do any spoilers now, but there were a lot of those moments specifically within this show that if the writing was a little bit better and the way that they, I think, approached the intro and them introducing themselves maybe gave the audience a little bit of a hint of like, hey, this is a parody. This is only really going to be relatable to like, I don't know, like a couple of thousand people that I think are going to fall in love with it. And the rest, I think, are just going to be confused. Maybe episode 2, people might go, oh, I get it now. I understand. There's talks and it might be better. But It's hard. This should have been really good.
I agree. That's the thing is a lot of the talent involved I love. I'm actually a huge Taylor Tomlinson fan. She's a stand-up comic that's kind of up and coming, but I've gotten into her over the last couple months, and she's a really sharp comic. So on paper, there was so much for me to like. I think this is a classic example for me of a pilot that's kind of getting pulled in too many directions. The problem is when you sort of have a tonal imbalance, you sort of end up with nothing. And I don't know if you watch any like Adult Swim content or like weird like Tim and Eric stuff.
Not really.
That's okay.
I mean, I know what you're talking about, though.
Right. It's that very specific kind of weird, surreal brand of comedy. I sort of wish a show like this would have leaned into something like that. Like there's Eric Andre has like a fake talk show called The Eric Andre Show that Tim and Eric produce. And it's just the weirdest show you've ever seen. Like in one of the example segments, they play a game called Pick That Human, and they bring in 3 civilians and the guest, who actually in this case was Maria Menounos. She was a guest on the show.
I love it.
Is asked to pick either A, B, or C, and then that person is executed live on the spot. So like, that's an example of like some of the weird instincts that I wish this show would have leaned into.
Yeah.
I just felt like this wasn't satire, but it also didn't feel like an earnest approach to after show culture. So what was it?
It was like it was a little too corporate. I mean, it was it's on Fox,
It's
right?
on network,
It's on network, so it's built for network. So it felt more like the Ellen Show mixed with a late night vibe.
Yeah.
But they can't push it to the point that Eric Andre's show goes to because it's network.
It's network, exactly. And the thing that bums me out is Fox, I actually think, will sort of lean into the weird sensibilities of network comedy.
Totally.
So I feel like there's a network version of the show that could have worked or could have been interesting. I would have loved to have watched a scripted version of his life. What is it like? It would have been interesting if he had to host an after show for a show he hated. You know, I think there's a lot of approaches to after show culture that you could lean into. I'm just not convinced this is the one.
Right. I mean, I get it that there's a lot of jokes that you can write around a book that you made up and a story that you made up, and you can film whatever you want within that show that makes fun of just the culture of like those shows that are over dramatic and sci-fi and thriller. But again, with the execution here, it wasn't over the top enough for it to hit home.
And the funny thing is, I actually liked the personalities on the show. Like Fred Savage, who doesn't like Fred Savage, right?
Yeah. God, I love him so much.
I feel like that's a litmus test for are you a good person, is what's your opinion on Fred Savage.
Yeah.
I kept thinking, I want to just watch a late night show that Fred Savage hosts.
I agree.
Like, he had great chemistry, prearranged chemistry with, obviously, Rob Lowe, because they had their show The Grinder, but I just this was exactly what I didn't want, with all the ingredients of a show that I did want.
I know. And like, well, I don't want to give any spoilers. There's like moments that I want to talk about, but I'm like, I don't want to spoil anything. That again, just they're supposed to be funny, but there was just that little bit that like it wasn't shot well and the moments weren't earned. That's like the basis of the show is, and Twitter was blowing up. I mean, there are some people who are like, I'm turning off the TV forever because I want to watch nothing other than what just happened. And there are people who are like, I only got 2 minutes in, turn the TV off. And I don't know what's going on. I'm confused.
Well, very few people actually watched the show, which we're going to get into some specifics later with development, but only 800,000 people tuned in.
Right.
Which might sound like a lot, but
it's not for
speaking
network.
of network, I love Ryan, our producer, is on it on the soundboard.
On the lowest end of the network on the same night, it was 4.5 million was the lowest view count, I believe, which was CBS. ABC won with 5 million views at that same. So I think about 800,000 up to 5 million. That's a big gap.
Yeah, that's a tough number for Fox to deal with, and it bums me out because there's so much I could have liked about this show, but I think we're on the same page that at least in its current form, we'll need to pass.
Oh, pass it.
That does get into our segment, which is our pass play. It sounds like we're on the same page. This is where we let you know whether or not we are personally passing or playing on the show, and whether or not we think audiences of this type of show should pass or play. It's tough. I mentioned that this feels like an compilation of ingredients that I like, but not necessarily a result that I like. So because it's like we tried chocolate chip cookies once, but we got zucchini, I want to try chocolate chip cookies again, even though I got a bad result the first time. I might watch again.
Yeah, I might too, because it's that train wreck that you can't take your eyes away from, that you're just like, I can't look away now, because like, can it only get worse or will they figure it out?
Yeah. And Vince Gilligan is on next week, which is like super interesting.
I know.
So I don't know. I think I'm going to watch it, but I don't know if I can recommend it.
I don't know if I can recommend it either. I think if you have a good group of friends that you can hang around with that are funny, and maybe they have a little wine available, you'll have a great time all watching together. You can make fun of it. That's how I think I'll do it when I watch the next one.
Well, we're going to get into a bit of development history around the show. This show kind of started because Fred Savage wanted to do something in the talk space, but he didn't actually want to host a talk show. In retrospect, maybe he could have, because I think he's very charismatic.
Oh, he's so
It would
great.
have been really fun to see him with talent on air, but he, as someone who wanted to host a talk show but wanted to do something kind of unconventional, this was his pitch. What if we lampooned after-show culture? The thing that's confusing is they didn't actually really take a satirical edge to the show. And Fred Savage went back on record as saying, this is not a spoof or a lampooning of anything. This was after the show, I think, had been filmed, and maybe they were trying to figure out what to do with it. This is definitely using the fervent fandom that defines after-shows and the pop culture that's come up around after-show pop culture and embracing it. What does that mean?
Read that one more time. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I will happy to read it again. This is not a spoof or a lampooning of anything. This is definitely using the fervent fandom that defines after shows and the pop culture that comes up around pop culture and embracing it.
Sure, which is why it wasn't funny.
Yeah.
Because if you push the satirical part of it and made it even more of a parody, there is a parody aspect to it.
Right.
I understand that the pop culture exists within after shows and talk shows, and everybody wants to talk about it. But I think the reason it wasn't that hilarious is because they didn't push for nobody wants to watch a thing about pop culture when we're all just sitting here within pop culture. Like, if you're watching this show, you're already going to be in that pop culture world of knowing after shows and watching actually all of the shows that he's kind of making fun of, but like he didn't push hard enough.
Yeah, because they're taking an earnest and loving approach to after show culture, why not just have a late night show? You know,
I agree.
Why not just let Fred Savage be an earnest lover of pop culture?
Yeah, because that's what he played. The funny thing is everything around him is fake, except for him and Taylor, his co-host. They're both playing themselves.
Yeah.
So, and everyone else is playing some sort of weird fictional character, but also themselves, which gives it just a weird mixing, like a mixed bag of candy there.
Well, I think the title accurately reflects how both of us and seemingly all of America felt about the show. What just happened? At this point, if you guys have been listening, we are going to get into our spoiler section of the show.
Spoiler alert.
Ooh, with the strobing.
Spoiler alert.
If you're watching live, our wonderful producer Ryan is flaring the lights. And speaking of live viewership, we do want to let you guys know that we are live every Wednesday at 5 p.m. here on YouTube on our AfterBuzz TV featured channel. We would love for you guys to tune in live and join our chat.
Yes, please.
AfterBuzz TV, we're the ESPN of TV Talk. We're the Conversation Network, and we are constantly producing, developing, and releasing podcasts all about television. And I promise you guys, if there's a show you like, you can find an after show for it here at the network. And if you're interested, there it is. If you're interested in after shows because you're listening to an after show about an after show, I'm guessing you'd want to check out our network. So please do that. You can subscribe here. And one thing we would love is for this show specifically, we'd love 5 stars on iTunes. If we get those 5 stars, we will read your review on air. I've been checking. So let us know what you think of the show, and we will give you our attention on air.
And give us your thoughts, comments. We'll read those too. We want to hear from you guys.
So, Tara, you are bursting at the seams with some specifics about how you felt about spoiler moments on this show.
God, yeah.
Spill the tea.
Just the beginning guest of him playing a fictional character. He's the lead. He's obviously very charming. They show a very comedic video where he takes off his
Zegers.
Yeah, okay, that's his name. And where he takes off his shirt, and where you're like, okay, we get it. We're making fun of him because, like, oh, that's how he got the audition. He takes off his shirt to close off a wound, and they make a joke about his muscles. And the way that Fred Savage hits him in the discussion right after and going, oh, yeah, so that's how you got, I mean, I auditioned, I never took off my shirt, and says a few things, like 3 things. And then all of a sudden, the actor, what is his name again?
Keven
Zegers is like, okay, I'm done here. I don't like what you just said. And he stormed off, but the moment was so not earned. I was like, Fred Savage should have blown up or gotten like really crazy, like uncomfortable, almost to the point that they did a really good job where Arya from Game of Thrones was on a late night talk show, and she was like crying, and it was so intense, and she was like, I'm so sorry, like, did they catch that? And then it was haha joke, but like that went viral because it was great and everyone believed it. The moment here was like, I don't believe you or you, because like the moment was not directed well enough. I don't know what happened. It fell flat, and that's the very beginning of the show.
I know.
Why would they open with that?
It felt like a direction thing for me too, Tara, where I was just like, what is the emotion that they're trying to evoke in our audience? Like, I couldn't even tell if Talent was really upset in that moment. What was the thing that triggered him? On one hand, I almost liked how weird all of this was. I was like, how did this slip through the cracks to air on network? Like, it was almost compelling television in that way, just because it was so inexplicable and kind of unprecedented to have such a ambiguously directed sketch show,
right?
You know, like it was just very strange.
Totally.
The moment for me that was weird was they had the second segment of the show involved like sort of storming onto Helen Mirren's home. Property is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Why? What? What's it? God.
It's like a sketch. It's like moments for him when you're watching it. You go, I get it. Fred Savage can be funny.
For sure.
Okay, they wrote this to be like, this is a funny idea, but why does it exist within this show? And what is it bringing us? What's the point of view? You have no idea. Like, there's no theme, and none of them link together. It's just like, hopefully someone says flare-nomenon, whatever that word is, and knows about the flare, and they're all somehow related with that. And then also the band never played. I wanted the band to not just say two words and be a comedic thing, and they're making fun of the way band members on late night talk shows don't have any emotion and they just play. Great, but like, I don't know, utilize them and utilize Taylor. She said like 3 things and it was fine. She just is like normal. She doesn't have to be funny all the time, but
it's interesting. True TV is doing some of this kind of experimental talk format. They have a show right now called At Home with Amy Sedaris. I don't know if
I have not watched it. I see billboards around for it every year.
We covered it. The only reason I've seen it is because we covered it for this show.
Okay.
It is wild. What that show is it's a very, very surreal parody of cooking shows. Okay. So Amy Sedaris is hilarious, but she's like kind of like if Martha Stewart were like one takeaway from getting sent straight to an insane asylum, is what this show. I love it. Yeah, it's crazy. It's nuts. It has a point of view, and it's just taking big swings. I think if this show had been pushed or developed toward True TV, they could have taken bigger swings with what they were doing. I just wanted some risks, and I don't know if network is the place where you can really air it. Like, this isn't the right habitat for a show like this.
No, and I think they could have thrown in a lot more into those moments where he eventually lays out a tarp and there's a water raft, and they throw like, where I'm like, that's funny to have people just throw water on you and like fake a monsoon. It didn't work, I think, because the moment wasn't earned, and maybe they could have just went even bigger. Like, go outside, have someone like hit you with, I don't even know, just make it even bigger to where you can't talk through the water. Something else, because no one was really laughing that much even up to that point. It felt like we wrote this other thing too, and then
for
it's
sure.
like,
well, and again, that moment, Fallon's already doing stuff like that.
Yes.
Like goofy games are already an earnest part of talk show culture. So, are you embracing that and nodding to those? Are you satirizing it?
Right.
I just think both of us were confused about the point of view the show is taking, and if you're going to develop like a satirical or maybe even an earnest approach to after show culture, you need to make these choices before you're shooting. It just doesn't. It almost feels like those weren't really heavily considered during development.
They were not made. But when you watch them on real after shows, it's funny because you see a genuine person with a genuine guest. You're not confused if Rob Lowe is playing himself or a character. And so all of their responses to be like, I'm getting splashed in the water and we're faking going through water rapids. In this show, I think Rob Lowe is making a choice to fall on top of him and be like, oh, but not as the actor being on an after show and making it a funny moment because he really likes Fred. It was like a weird character move that he thought like would work, and it felt awkward to me.
Yeah.
Because I think we were all just confused about like, are they being genuine or are they playing a character?
Exactly. Yeah, that line I don't think was decided clearly enough.
Sure was not.
Well, those are our spoiler thoughts on the show. Tara, anything else before we move on to some other segments?
No, let's get to the segments.
Great. We are going to talk about...
How fun. You went New York.
I can't do accents at all.
We talk about it.
Guys, Tara is the one you guys should be putting on camera.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. I want to talk about other shows that might compare to a show like this. So if you are interested in what we're talking about, I mentioned some of the experimental stuff that True TV is doing. So I think if you've seen At Home with Amy Sedaris and you like that show, this is worth checking out. They have another show called Talk Show the Game Show, hosted by Guy Branum, who's a pop culture guy I really like. And if you like that show, you could try this out.
Yeah.
Anything come to mind for you?
Good Lord, no. Just like, I don't know, a really low-rated YouTube channel that some guy was like, let's try this out.
Yeah, I think that's right. And it's tough because I really like Fred Savage.
Me too. I adore him, and I think that he's so talented, and a lot of times anything he touches is great. If you watch any of his past projects or anything that any of his shows on Netflix and the people that he works with, that's why this was so disappointing to me.
Yeah. Did you watch Friends from College?
Yes, and it's one of my most favorite shows.
We were heartbroken when it was canceled.
I was terribly sad. I was like, why? I got so addicted to that show.
Season 2 upped their game so much, too.
So good. And it's so, every actor in that show was brilliant. And yeah, that was a sad, sad moment.
Well, if you're a Friends from College fan, quick diversion, we did cover it here at the network in many forms, so check that out. Even Ryan, our producer, is agreeing. So good.
Yeah. Brilliant show.
If we were to rate this pilot out of 5, I hate to do this because I like everyone involved, but this feels like a 1.8 to me.
Yeah, I was, terrible, right? I just immediately, the second you said it, I was going to say 2.5. Because they had some good writing. There was times where I was like, haha, that would be funny if this was directed better.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Like all over the place.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens. It was obviously a low-rated premiere. It seems like the show's having some identity issues, but I do think all the talent on this show is going to be fine.
Yeah.
Taylor Tomlinson's not going anywhere, neither is Fred Savage.
Right.
I like the idea of Fox taking a risk like this. I just hope when they do, I think when you take a risk like this, you have to nail it out of the gate, and so far they're not. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this show, but we'll keep you posted here at the network.
I hope they go bigger and bolder.
Yeah.
But they probably already filmed all of their episodes.
I think it was probably all it must have not been that expensive, at least.
Obviously not, because I think they could have done a lot more.
Yeah. Well, Tara, any last thoughts on what just happened with Fred Savage before you go?
I wish it was better.
I wish it was better, too. Yeah. That being said, we know you guys have a lot of thoughts on stuff like this, too, and we would love it if you guys would comment down below on your thoughts. Let Tara and I know why we're wrong. I would love to hear you prove us wrong, because I truly and earnestly go into each of these shows wanting to love them. As someone who loves TV and loves people working in TV and knows a lot of people auditioning, I want everything to be amazing.
Yes.
So, if you love this show, let us know why.
Please let us know why. I mean, I can at least make up for it, given my top 2 new shows that I like right now.
Yeah. There you go.
Years and years. Watch them on HBO. We didn't cover it on this show. Not yet, right?
Not yet,
or maybe it's... Go watch it. So good. I fell in love with that pilot, and I cannot wait to watch the second one. I know it's been out for 2 days or a day. I need to go home and watch it. I cannot wait.
Great.
And I recently fell in love with Riverdale. That's an old show, but oh my goodness, I thought it was just for teens. And hey, I love it.
Not enough abdominal muscles on that show for me, personally.
I'm okay. I see it through the shirt. There's a build-up here, Jeff. If you really look at them,
you can see it.
They've got it. Football construction happens, I guess, as a teenager in that town. They got muscles working at all times. And there's also singing.
Tara's sweating over here.
It's a whole thing. Let's
we're going to
end
wrap out. Guys, my name is Jeff Graham. Thank you so much for tuning in to TV Pilot Reviews here on AfterBuzz TV. Today we read Fox's brand new thing. It's called What Just Happened with Fred Savage, and we'd love to hear your thoughts, so comment down below. If you guys want to hear my take on some other shows, I host the very well-respected, high-quality show, The Bachelorette. I do have a lot of fun hosting that show, and Ryan produces that as well, so check out our coverage on that if you watch the show. Tara, what's going on with you?
Oh, nothing. You guys can find me all over the internet, Tara Erickson, Tara, and then Erickson. Go find me on the YouTubes and Twitter and Instagram. Say hi, hello, make my life better after watching this pilot, please.
Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you next time here on TV Pilot Reviews.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.